So by and by they knocked at the door of Piglet's house. "Hello, Pooh," said Piglet. "Hello, Piglet. This is Tigger." "Oh, is it?" said Piglet, and he edged round to the other side of the table. "I thought Tiggers were smaller than that." "Not the big ones," said Tigger. "They like acorns," said Pooh. "So that's what we've come for, because poor Tigger hasn't had any breakfast yet." Piglet pushed the bowl of acorns towards Tigger and said, "Help yourself." And then he got close up to Pooh and felt much braver and said, "So you're Tigger? Well, well." But Tigger said nothing because his mouth was full of acorns. After a long munching noise, he said, "Yes." And when Pooh and Piglet said, "What?" he said, "Screw it," and went outside for a moment. When he came back, he said firmly, "Tiggers don't like acorns." "But you said that they liked everything except honey," said Pooh. "Everything except honey and acorns," explained Tigger. When he heard this, Pooh said, "Oh, I see." And Piglet, who was rather glad that Tiggers didn't like acorns, said, "What about thistles?" "Thistles," said Tigger, "is what Tiggers like best." "Then let's go along and see Eeyore," said Piglet. So the three of them went, and after they had walked and walked and walked, they came to the part of the forest where Eeyore was. "Hello, Eeyore," said Pooh. "This is Tigger." "What is?" said Eeyore. "This," explained Pooh and Piglet together, and Tigger smiled his happiest smile and said nothing. Eeyore walked all round Tigger one way, and then turned and walked all around him the other way. "What did you say it was?" he asked. "Tigger." "Ah," said Eeyore. "He's just come," explained Piglet. "Ah," said Eeyore again. He thought for a long time and then said, "When is he going?" Pooh explained to Eeyore that Tigger was a great friend of Christopher Robin's, who had come to stay in the forest, and Piglet explained to Tigger that he mustn't mind what Eeyore said because he was always gloomy. And Eeyore explained to Piglet that on the contrary he was feeling particularly cheerful this morning, and Tigger explained to anybody who was listening that he hadn't had any breakfast yet. "I knew there was something," said Pooh. "Tiggers always eat thistles, so that was why we came to see you, Eeyore." "Don't mention it, Pooh." "Oh, Eeyore, I didn't mean that I didn't want to see you." Quite. But your new stripy friend, naturally, he wants his breakfast. What did you say his name was?" "Tigger." "Then come this way, Tigger." Eeyore led the way to the most thistly-looking patch of thistles that ever was, and waved a hoof at it. "A little patch I was keeping for my birthday," he said. "But after all, what are birthdays? Here today and gone tomorrow. Help yourself, Tigger." Tigger thanked him and looked a little anxiously at Pooh. "Are these really thistles?" he whispered. "Yes," said Pooh. "What Tiggers like best." "That's right," said Pooh. "I see." So he took a large mouthful and he gave a large crunch. "Ow!" He sat down and put his paw in his mouth. "What's the matter?" asked Pooh. "Your friend," said Eeyore, "your friend appears to have bitten on a bee." Pooh's friend stopped shaking his head to get the prickles out, and explained that Tiggers didn't like thistles. "Then why bend a perfectly good one?" asked Eeyore. "But you said," began Pooh, "you said that Tiggers liked everything except honey and acorns." "And thistles," said Tigger, who was now running around in circles with his tongue hanging out. Pooh looked at him sadly. "What are we going to do?" he asked Piglet. Piglet knew the answer to that, and he said at once that they must go and see Christopher Robin. "You'll find him with Kanga," said Eeyore. He came close to Pooh and said in a loud whisper, "Could you ask your friend to do his exercises somewhere else? I'll be having lunch directly, and I don't want it bounced on just before I begin." Pooh nodded solemnly and called to Tigger. Come along and we'll go and see Kanga. She'll sure to have lots of breakfast for you. And off they hurried. And as they walked, Piglet said nothing, because he couldn't think of anything, and Pooh said nothing. And every now and again, Tigger had been bouncing in front of them, turning around and saying, "Is this the way?" And now at last they came in sight of Kanga's house, and there was Christopher Robin. Tigger rushed up to him. "Oh, there you are, Tigger," said Christopher Robin. "I knew you'd be somewhere." "I've been finding things in the forest," said Tigger importantly. "I found a Pooh and a Piglet and an eel, but I can't find any breakfast." Pooh and Piglet came up and hugged Christopher Robin and explained what had been happening. "Don't you know what Tigger's like?" asked Pooh. "Expect if I thought very hard I should," said Christopher Robin. "But I thought Tigger knew." "But I do," said Tigger. "Everything there is in the world, except honey and acorns and what are those hot things called?" "Thistles." "Yes, and those." "Oh, well then, Kanga should be able to give you some breakfast." So they went into Kanga's house, and when Roo had said, "Hello, Pooh," and "Hello, Piglet," once, and "Hello, Tigger," twice, because he had never said it before and it sounded funny, they told Kanga what they wanted, and Kanga said very kindly, "Well, you look in my cupboard, Tigger dear, and see what you'd like." Because she knew at once that however big Tigger seemed to be, he wanted as much kindness as Roo. "Shall I look too?" said Pooh, who was just beginning to feel a little 11 o'clock-ish. And he found a small tin of condensed milk, and something seemed to tell him that Tigger's didn't like this, so he took it into a corner by himself, and went with it to make sure that nobody interrupted it. But the more Tigger put its nose into this and his paw into that, the more things he found which Tigger's didn't like. And when he had found everything in the cupboard and couldn't eat any of it, he said to Kanga, "What happens now?" But Kanga and Christopher Robin and Piglet were all standing around Roo, watching him have his extract of malt. And Roo was saying, "Must I?" And Kanga was saying, "Now, Roo dear, you remember what you promised." "What is it?" whispered Tigger to Piglet. "His strengthening medicine," said Piglet. "He hates it." So Tigger came closer, and he leant over the back of Roo's chair, and suddenly he put out his tongue and took one large lollip, and with a sudden jump of surprise, Kanga said, "Oh!" and then clutched at the spoon again just as it was disappearing and pulled it safely back out of Tigger's mouth. But the extract of malt was gone. "Tigger, dear," said Kanga. "He's taken my medicine! He's taken my medicine! He's taken my medicine!" said Roo happily, thinking it was a tremendous joke. Then Tigger looked up at the ceiling and closed his eyes, and his tongue went round and round his chops in case he had left any outside, and a peaceful smile came over his face as he said, "So that's what Tigger's like."